I want to win the UEFA Champions League, but I only have 10 seasons. I have to start from scratch, with 0 coaching badges, with 0 playing experience. Just me and a dream. You already know what kind of a grind I am signing up for, so let's just go at it. Welcome to the Football Manager speedrun. This is me, the in-game me. I know very little about managing a club, even though I have the papers proving my basic scouting knowledge. And these are the 11 countries I can go to. I'm either starting somewhere close or in the top countries ladder. I'm not going to Macedonia's 3rd division, it's pretty obvious. But what you have also noticed, I'm not managing a club. And that's not helpful in our mission to speedrun the game. So you might have guessed it. Our first job in this challenge is to find a job. Let's see what offers are available. There is no way we're going to go to any of the teams you can see on the screen right now. We're not going to the top Czech division, we're not going to the championship, we're not going to Belgium. And I can even apply to one of those to just show you that there is absolutely 0 chance of going there. And in case you're wondering, Sigma Olomouc was too Sigma for my chances. So we have to go a little bit lower. I'm talking like the 2nd Slovak League, the 3rd Polish division, even the Serie C or something, to have any chance of securing our first job. You have to be very careful with what we're choosing. We can't go too low. For example, 3rd Slovak or Czech division might be a bit too low. We have to aim a little bit higher. So I'll apply to a couple of those clubs first and try to make sure I actually land a job anywhere. Unfortunately, the 2nd tier of Poland is still a bit too high for me. But Banuva from the 3rd tier of Slovakia did offer us an interview, which was fairly simple. They just gave me the vision to be competitive and accepted my request for a coaching course. And this is vital. Just like in real life, you have to complete coaching courses to land better jobs. The highest coaching license in Football Manager is a Continental Pro license, which will give us a chance to manage in the Premier League or La Liga in the future. And to maximize our chances of winning the Champions League within 10 seasons, we have to go through the courses as fast as possible. I also decided to apply to work for clubs in England, Italy or Belgium. Results varied. Thanks, N'Golo. Some clubs in the 6th tier of England wanted to talk, but only Warrington Town was happy to offer me a coaching course. Honestly, this was the only criteria. Just fund my course and I'll join, which Banova thought about and offered me a job. But I'm still looking for options somewhere higher, so I delayed the decision. Weymouth was next, but they didn't want to give me the coaching course, so I rejected their offer. Similar fate met Altamura in Italy's Serie C and Olympique Charleroi in Belgium's 3rd tier. I delayed their offers in case I had no other option, just like Banova's 2nd approach. But that's the last delay the board in Slovakia will agree to. This is the in-game limit. Next week, we'll have to make a decision. The decision to take charge of Warrington Town. That's mainly because I'll get the chance to prove myself just on the outskirts of top-level football, and also an opportunity for a quick education with a coaching course. Will I be able to take the relegation candidate away from the drop, or will this be a short-lived adventure on Unis compliant stadium? Well, I guess it's time to find out. Warrington is a birthplace of plenty of people you may have heard of. I'm talking Jesse Lingard, Luke Littler, or Rick Astley. Congratulations, you've been rickrolled in this video. You did not see that coming. In real life, in the most recent season, Warrington was relegated from the Vanarama National League North, which is the 6th tier of English football. But in the game, we have a chance to change that. The board only wants us to avoid such fate. But my goal was different. I want to get this club promoted, which will help me find a job in a better division. Unfortunately, this isn't what I should say to the players. Therefore, they don't know. But now, let's see the conditions we arrived into. Well, it's not looking good when one of our stars is 41 years old. That man is Peter Clark, and he will lead our backline this season. Up front, we have Devon Green, our best player, and also Matty MacDonald, a 20-year-old who's the most talented. They are the men who may lead us to our first success, the promotion. So now, let's set the team up. I decided to go with a direct 4-3-3, hoping to catch counters and scratch those all-important wins. But right after setting up the formation, problems arose. We only have 17 players available. It's too small considering an intense schedule coming up, and we need to bring on reinforcements if we want to even think about going up. But there's no scouts who could find those reinforcements. That's why I first filled our staff, and then took care of the players. I invited some of the free agents for trials, and accepted the invitation for an exit trial game. That game finished with a 3-3 draw, and the player I took notes on in particular was Ryan Cassidy. He didn't want to join, but some other players did. Some of the trialists became permanent players, notably Joe Tate at centre back and the striker Harrison Poulter. The two new signings changed our preseason prediction to 18th, which is definitely an okay sign before our debut against Peterborough Spurs. Peterborough is looking like they're going with a counter, steal, a goal to an empty net. It's offside at least. He finds Buckley Ricketts, Woods with a goal. I'm afraid it's offside as well. It's not, and we're taking the lead over Peterborough Sports. Throw in for us, and this time it's Declan Walker passing it to Woods, and it's a penalty! Jay Harris is stepping up, our defensive midfielder, and he scores! That's 2-0! Comes back to Kay, Howard finds Woods, Woods hit the post, he was offside anyway. And that marks our successful debut. We've won 2-0 over Peterborough Sports, and that's exactly the debut we wanted. This win started a good run of form for us in the league. Okay, we lost against Buxton, but other than that, we picked up some valuable wins. With them, we climbed to 8th in the standings early on, just outside the playoff zone. But this was just a good start to a disaster. We suddenly started losing a bunch of games and dropped down the standings. It didn't help that we got demolished 5-1 by Kidderminster Harriers in the FA Cup qualifiers. This game exposed our biggest weakness. Our midfield was completely overrun. Direct passing doesn't help, as well as the defense being way too slow. So I made a switch, introducing a flat 4 and a narrow attack. The goal here is to make sure the attackers work together closely and the defense doesn't carry itself away in the attacks. Peter Clark, due to lack of pace, was also benched. This tactic later evolved to just feature 3 strikers, and the results were somewhat better at least. By Christmas, we became a stable mid-table side, sitting in 14th. Right now, relegation is as unlikely as promotion, but we still had some memorable moments on the way, such as a late comeback against Oxford City with a 92nd minute equalizer, a successful revenge on Kidderminster Harriers, or a 6-2 demolition of South Shields. We also advanced to the FA Trophies 4th round, FA Cup for anyone from Tier 5 and below for those asking what it is. Firstly, Celtic were our opponents there, and we first had Devon Green score from a mess, and Josh Amis blasting a spectacular long shot. With that, we won 2-0. Just kidding, first they somehow managed to equalize and bring it to extra time. In the first half of that extra time, we missed this. And we must be extremely thankful that Isaac Buckley Ricketts found the net in the second part, allowing us to win this insane match. I think the best way to thank Isaac for that goal is us all subscribing to this channel, which I also be very grateful for. After this win, we've had a couple of matches postponed in January, and that's the moment that let a realization hit me. I could have loaned some players from higher leagues basically for free. So I quickly got to action. I loaned in Anton Dudik, Samba Badjiana, Max Martin, not the music producer, Ben Casey, or Jack Griffiths, who got heavily injured very quickly, or Finn Delap from Burton Albion. We also let Jay Harris go to Ashton United. Despite the fact we only used 1 or 2 loanees, we had a flawless January, which helped us go up to 12th place, on the outskirts of a playoff fight. Unfortunately, we did not have such luck against Spennymoor Town in the FA Trophy. We lost 3-0, but I'm not surprised if we're missing chances like this. Thankfully, this was a one-off. We were winning the majority of our games. Kingston Town, Farsley Celtic and Darlington were all wins. Scunthorpe was also looking like a huge victory, as we had the perfect start against the Irons. He finds across to Josh Amis. Amis hits the post, but Devon Green gets the rebound. Recycled to us, but we quickly lose it, we quickly win it back though. Buckley Ricketts on the left has been fouled, and it's a penalty for us. Declan Walker, who converts it. Makes a pass to Morris, good one to Law. And that's a, I want to say, consolation goal. Finds Scales, Starbuck, and I'm afraid we are going to lose the lead within 3 minutes, because we do! Starbuck being let go free, and White thankfully wins it. Quickly, the ball goes back to Scunthorpe, and Bryn Morris with a long shot. Beastin. Low shot. And this game is over. We were doing so well in the first half. Kowogun. Shrimpton. And Law has been found and Law scores the 5th. But it's offside. Scunthorpe is going for the real 5th goal here. And they do. Absolute shambles, really. That's all I have to say. With Kidderminster being yet another loss, we are placed 9 points behind promotion playoffs. With 10 games to go, there is still a chance we can still get promoted. And in the very moment I said it, we forgot how to play football. We lost to Oxford City and Alfreton Town, and got a draw against Chorley. Thankfully, we then were back in form, with wins over Marine, Southport, Brackley Town or Curtin Ashton. We had a quite strong finish to the season, but it wasn't enough. We never really were in a promotion race. We finished 12th, perfectly in the mid-table. Even though we failed to reach our goal, this was still well above media expectations. And also, I secured a National B coaching license before the season rounded up. This gave me a strong card when negotiating with some other teams. Why am I telling you this? Because I'm looking at my clock, and it tells me there are 9 seasons left in this challenge to win the Champions League. So I have to move on. We finished our National League North season in late April, and this means we don't have too many teams we can go to. Most interesting offers we can probably take are the ones from Trenčín in Slovakia's top flight, Příbram in Czechia's 2nd division, Lokeren in Belgium's 2nd tier, or some teams in League 2. Naturally, I applied to all of those jobs, but the teams collectively decided to reject my application. However, I kept being stubborn and kept applying. If there was a job listing available, you know I would take a chance. To the point where the media started to pick up interest. But that didn't matter. More and more teams kept rejecting me. And when Aldershot Town, who just stayed up in the National League, declined my application, I started to lose hope. So I decided to pull a very risky move. I decided to resign from Warrington Town. I thought that because I have a job, some clubs might simply not be interested, and me being a free agent would make me a hotter prospect. It didn't help at all. So what? Am I just going to sit out the start of the season and wait for Sacktober? Okay, this is massive. We finally got an interview somewhere, and it's actually in my preferred destination. That's the 2nd Slovak League, and Spartak Myjava offered us a chance to even have a chance of getting the job. Spartak had some problems about my management and didn't want to fund me a coaching course, but their vision of being an established 2nd division side in Slovakia is perfect for me. We're just outside the top flight, and just getting there will help make massive progress en route to the Champions League. Pisek from Czechia's 3rd tier also gave me an interview, but they weren't my preferred option, especially after considering the fact that Spartak Myjava found me as the best option, and I straight up accepted the offer. Myjava is a town in western Slovakia, located around 40 minutes away from Trenčín and also 40 minutes away from Skalica. That's great news, because these two towns both have a team in the top flight and can watch our performance closely in case their season goes wrong. Speaking of the top flight, if we want to get a lot closer to our goal of winning the Champions League, we need an accolade. And that accolade is a promotion. But just like in Warrington Town, we don't have much money to play with. This probably explains why we're only expected to finish mid-table in the 2nd tier. But there's some good news. We have a bunch of talented youngsters in the squad. Most notably a goalkeeper Stanislav Luptak, or fullbacks Luboš Vencel and Matej Lukacs. But we also have much needed experience. Examples being center back Robert Stefanek or midfielder Frederick Bilowski. I made a 4-2-3-1 tactic, which is plain and simple. Pass it short and press high. And now it's time for more good news. We don't have to worry about the size of our backroom staff, so we can focus on the important matters, such as the transfers. Or actually, 2 free loans of Samuel Zawadzki from Košice and Gabriel Demian from Dukla Bańska Bystrica. With them, we still were 8th in the season preview before our debut game against Slovan Bratislava B. What did you think, that the best team in Slovakia got relegated? Loses possession to Orszula unfortunately, and looks like a counter for Slovan Bratislava. Gabriš is in the area, drives to the byline, and Orszula starts this season. Artur Gajdoš back to Marcelli. Boledovic is in the area. Somehow he's won a penalty. But looks like this is a disaster of a start to the season. Orszula misses! Wow! Boledovic back to Gajdoš, and it looks like this time the Slovan players will be a bit more prolific. Cross. Bedec with a goal. Currently it's just consolation. He finds Wojtowicz on the right. Wojtowicz with a cross to Prachar. And the tall striker with a second goal for us. As a consolation, Miszovic makes a cross to Urszula, and Slovan is indeed leading 3-2. Bilowski. Castellano, who makes a cross to Zawadzki. And this time Zawadzki scores. Marcelli. He makes a deflected cross. And Deloni from Košice goes to the byline. Makes a pass to Demian. Demian is in the area. He hits the post. Castellano with a goal. And we've equalized again. As this is a highlight in the 90th minute. Bilowski to Castellano. Back to Bilowski. Demian. He makes a pass to Wojtowicz, who's been fouled. 90th minute. And we can win in our debut. It's number 10 who's stepping up. I believe it's going to be Bilowski, who scores 5-3 in the final minutes of this game. What a piece of art this game was. And also a brilliant start to the season. Unfortunately, against Dukla Bańska Bystrica at home, who actually got relegated, we lost after a late free kick. After this game, I confirmed a loan of Viktor Tatar and a free transfer of Christian Lukacic. And guess what? We actually had a great start to the league season. The loss against Dukla was the only one at the start of the campaign. We had some more massive wins, such as 4-1 against Partizan Bardejov, 2-1 against Žilina's B team, or 6-1 over Pochronie, the team that rejected us before this season. We were sitting in second place 9 games in, 3 points behind Shamorin, who are our direct opponents in our 10th game. A win here will do us a huge favor in the battle for promotion. Zawadzki to Demian. And we lose possession. Diallo is on the 1v1. That was an absolute shambles. Zawadzki makes a cross to Prachar. Prachar equalizes despite the yellow card. And it looks like it's Shamorin's highlight. Diallo finds Szolgaj. We've gone way too high. Pavuk now is in the area. Left alone. Makes a pass to Greszak. Penalty. Hopefully Barat saves it, but we'll see about that. Diallo has a chance for a brace, and he scores that brace. And there's a free kick for Shamorin. He tried to clear the ball, but Farner with a chance to make a cross again. Pavuk with a volley. That was a spectacular goal. This is something I must admit. Finds Kacala. He gets that ball to Tatar. Tatar is on the wing. Prachar with a goal that gives us hope. Shamorin probably verified our promotion ambitions. But thankfully, this was just a little speed bump. Just like a loss to Serec. But other than that, we just kept winning. In the middle point of the season, we were still second in the league. 5 points behind Shamorin. We're running away from the rest of the league. Just like Shamorin is running away from us. Until they stopped. Shamorin was going invincible at the start of the season. But in November, they started to slip up. They lost 1-0 against Tatran Prešov, Petržalka and Humenne. And we were almost flawless. 21 games in, we finally took the lead of the standings. But getting to the top is one thing. To stay there is another. Thankfully, we kept our winning streak, with wins over Liptovski Mikuláš, Stara Lubovnia, Pochronie and Žilina's B team. This extended our lead to 5 points over Shamorin. The direct encounter against them will determine our chances in this promotion race. Banczak with the ball to Lukacic. I think Castellano is a bit too wide out, out wide, but he gets the ball now, the Spaniard. We get it to Zawadzki. Zawadzki with a header. Samuel, what a goal! We just entered a highway to the league title and a promotion to the top flight. We just cannot stop there. And so, we won 5-3 over Poważska Bystrica and got a 3-2 win over Slavoj Trebišov. Shamorin didn't do so well, letting Pochronie come back late to a 3-3 draw. And with that, before our game against Petržalka, we learned that we won the second Slovak league. It is our first major accolade of this challenge, and we're going to manage a club in the top flight. We received a guard of honor from Petržalka, and then we won the game 4-2, after which we lifted our first trophy above our heads. We then won against Tatran Prešov and lost to Serec, thus confirming our title with 12 points of advantage over Shamorin. But now there is 8 seasons left to win the Champions League. During our second season, I bagged a National A coaching license, and the board sent me on another course, this time to claim the Continental C license. Adding on not too many offers from any of the top flights or anywhere close to them, I have decided the best course of action is to stay. I've actually made that decision right after I joined Spartak. I knew that as long as we get promoted, I will not actively escape for a better club, at least for now. We'll make a deeper dive into the situation after we secure the coaching badge. For now, it's time to prepare for our first season in the top division. We've been given just over 100,000 euros to spend on transfers. Adding on a couple of releases, which includes our centre-back Robert Stefanek, who got frustrated after I didn't let him go to Michaloce last summer, this means we will mainly rely on and free agents. We don't want to start with like half of the team being available, so our spending spree started with a youth intake. To be exact, a centre-back Tomasz Halabrin and someone already available for the first team, an attacking midfielder Miroslav Michalik. We then looked outside of Mejava and found plenty of free agents. First up, a midfielder Mario Holly, but he will be mainly a squad or French player, unlike a Colombian, Sebastian Gomez. We also made Gabriel Demian a permanent player. On the wings, we brought in Sheriff Dine Mama from Benin, he only joined in August, and Jakub Kusal, a Czechman from Skalica. The backline also got numerous additions. Samuel Kuc from Tatran Prešov, a loan of Peter Borbeli from Michaloce, Musa Ramatan from Vyškov in Czechia, and Matusz Katuński, who last played in Tatran Prešov. The only goal this season, given by the board, is to try to avoid relegation. Not avoid, try to avoid. So we pretty much have nothing to lose. And I understood them the second I looked at the season preview. This is basically the 2016 Leicester City-ish chance of staying up. It's that low. And Dunajska Streda, our first opponents in the top flight, were ready to show our place in the pecking order. Long ball is being sent to Balog, and Balog makes a cross to Dublievich, and our start is not good. Hertz is on the right side now, and the Dunajska Streda players are in our penalty area, and they're about to score the second. Galvez, long shot, Borisenko. And we try to win it, but Borisenko is on the left wing and will be looking for that final cross of the match. And Ramadan scores the third, and pretty much this finishes our disaster of a start to the season. At least, thankfully, we still showed we can fight. Our first 2 points of the season came from 2 all draws against Žilina and Komarno. But these are not the results that will help us climb the table. So, I signed a free agent Martin Boda to become our new striker. He didn't help too much though. All our losses were narrow ones. We lost to Trencin, Spartak Trnava and Košice. With only 2 points, we dropped down to 11th place and will probably fight against relegation with Michaloce. To avoid this disaster of a fate, I had to make 2 more loans. Matej Svec from Spartak Trnava at right back and Martin Mišović on the left wing from Slovan Bratislava. But with a 4-1 loss to Podbrezova, I started to think I might regret my decision to stay in Mejava. To the point I started looking at jobs that were insecure or available. To be fair, going to the second Bundesliga will give us a much bigger chance of completing our main goal than fighting against a drop in Slovakia. But we still have to wait until our coaching course is completed, which happened on September 18th, a day after we finally won a football match against MŠK Tesla Stropko from the third tier in the cup. But that doesn't help much in our league situation. We were scoring goals, but we were also conceding goals, quite a lot of them. In the game against Slovan Bratislava, I decided to switch our tactic to a 4-3-3 with a holding midfielder, to at least balance things out. The team from the capital had Danilo Ignatenko on the right wing-back, who assisted Sahar Kizan, and he gave Slovan the lead. That was the only goal in that match, leading to yet another loss. We had to wait 9 games for our first league win. It took Samuel Prahar's brace and Mama's header to win over Zlate Moravce. Samuel Prahar showed he's in good form with a goal against Michaloce, and Christian Urban added 2 more penalties. Zemplin's David Leal Costa missed his own penalty, and thanks to that, we won our second game in a row. After a loss to Różą Berok, we finished the first round of games on 11th place, far away from Michaloce in last at least. To make sure our rise of form wasn't temporary, I signed yet another free agent, Filip Liche. But maybe it's time to move on. The very first offer that showed up was from Morecambe in League 2. But going to the 4th tier of the English game looks like to be a step back. Also, what is Ruben Amorim doing at Middlesbrough? He got sacked shortly after anyway. The first offer I found somewhat interesting is the one from Jagiellonia Białystok in Poland, who are playing well below expectations, but they're not a team I would force a move to. However, there's also a slot at Derby County, struggling in the championship, and that is a bit more interesting move. I still decided to react to both listings, just like to a listing of Getafe, They are the favorites to get promoted from the Spanish second division, but instead, they're barely in the mid-table. Stoke City, rock bottom in the championship, were another team I applied to. At rock bottom were also Herenveen in the Netherlands, and I rounded up my October search with OH Leuven in Belgium. They're paying the price for playing in Europe by struggling in the league. Out of the 5 teams I sent my CV to, which one would be your preferred option? Let me know in the comments below. As it turns out, Jagiellonia and Derby both said no, and both cited my lack of experience in avoiding relegation. I mean, I got literally promoted in the most recent season, are you serious? At least, Getafe complimented me, before also rejecting my offer. Just take Stoke City, Herenveen and Leuven. So it looks like we're staying in Slovakia for now. At that time, let me just grab a coach. Not even that? Well, I guess I'll just focus on football, while looking for jobs in the top leagues. Elche in Portugal also said no, by the way. Our 100th game in management turned out to be against Žilina, but we lost it 2-1. But that loss didn't stop us from improving. In December, we won over Komarno in the league and Puchov in the cup. We also got a draw against Dunajska Streda and lost to Trenčín. During that month, both Košice and Žilina offered me an interview. But moving to either of those teams wouldn't take me any closer to the big goal of this challenge. So this time, it was me who said no. I'm targeting a job in the top 8 league, or Motor Lublin in Poland. The team, owned by a local billionaire Zbigniew Jakubas, is severely overachieving in the Polish Ekstraklasa and is fighting for Europe. Going there would turn our season around. From fighting against relegation, we would challenge for a massive podium finish, but I obviously was rejected. And Granada in Spain did the same, and it took them 2 hours. Unfortunately, the results at Myjava also took a hit. We lost 4-2 to Košice and barely got a draw against Spartak Trnava. The latter also demolished us 5-1 in the cup quarter-final. At that time, I also got the chance to get interviewed by NAC Breda in the Netherlands. I genuinely thought this was my chance to go from Slovakia to a much better league, but as you might have guessed, they rejected me despite even offering a coaching course. So, looks like we're seeing out the season in Myjava. We lost heavily to Slovan Bratislava and Ružomberok, and then suffered a narrow defeat to Zlaté Moravce. The only win before the end of the regular season was against Michalovce. The Ružomberok game was a debut game for Karol Tott, a 15-year-old who just joined for the youth intake and already looks insane for this level. But he did not score in his debut, unlike Daniel Zachariasz, who joined from the youth intake in our Build a Nation save with SFC Opawa. Full movie from that adventure is available on the top right, but make sure to watch it only after this one. After the regular season, the league splits into 2 groups of 6. The teams play each other once more. Would be twice, but there's an error in the database update I've downloaded. Anyways, we're 10th and quite far away from a relegation battle. We started the relegation group with a match against Košice, which we lost 1-0, and we also suffered a 2-1 defeat to Zlaté Moravce. Thankfully, we also demolished Komarno and got draws against Michalovce and Žilina. This helped us ensure survival. 4 points ahead of Zemplin and 7 in front of Komarno, who ultimately went down. I considered the season as a success after all, and kind of proving the media wrong. They thought we would go straight back down, but we stayed afloat and did so quite comfortably. But I must admit, I wasn't really focused on Myjava's results at that time. In the top leagues, the seasons have just rounded up, and this means clubs started to look for new managers. So I naturally kept applying to anything mildly interesting. Because guess what is the goal of this video? The goal is to win the UEFA Champions League in 10 seasons, and there's only 7 seasons left. We have to move away from Slovakia to get any closer to that goal. And no, a transfer budget of 600k does not convince me at all. Needless to say, I just kept getting rejected. In all jobs I applied to, as well as the course. Did I just get stuck in a dead end? And is this challenge taking a terrible turn? Finally, Tondela in the 2nd Portuguese division and ŁKS Łódź in Poland responded. But only the latter offered a coaching course and also the job, which I delayed and did it twice. Because there's one more. RVD Molenbeek in Belgium. They also offered a coaching course and also are a part of the 8th most reputable league in Europe, which would help our own reputation quite massively. But when they said no, I had no other option. Welcome to Poland. Welcome to ŁKS Łódź. Łódź is one of Poland's major cities, located right at the center of the country, and also a home to one of the fiercest rivalries in football, the one between ŁKS and Widzew. Currently, it's Widzew with more bragging rights, with 4 titles compared to ŁKS's 2 and 30 derby wins versus 20 of ŁKS. In the most recent years, ŁKS was jumping between the first and second tier of Polish football. With 2 mid-table finishes in this save so far, they look forward to establishing themselves in the top flight, which will also help us get a job in a top 5 or 6 league. Our new club started the season perfectly before we joined, with a home 4-1 win over Śląsk Wrocław. But now it's time to step in and make sure this club can fight for something better. My first look at the squad suggests we are capable of more than just mid-table. We've got some young and very talented players, most notably a centre-back Maciej Łuszcz, a midfielder Mateusz Furman, and a goalkeeper Sebastian Kasperski. But we also have 2 players worth over 10 million euros. Samet Onur from Turkey and Diego Aznar from Spain. Adding on 1.5 million of a transfer budget, there is quite some space for a rebuild. But first, I want to set up our current team. I decided to go with a quite balanced 4-2-3-1, allowing quite a lot of freedom for our players. That's because we had 0 training prior to our debut in Poland. The debut against Motor Lublin, the team that rejected us during the previous season. Mandy, who cuts into the area and he makes a long shot, the center back. Vera, a last way, passes back to Einar and Samet scores our first goal in ŁKS. Georgievski. Nyangadu finds Jakubik, who found lots of space, and he gives the lead back to Motor Lublin. He's doing that overlap himself for Nalczyk. Vera. He passes it, and Samet somehow scores the second goal. I don't know how he's put that in the back of the net. Ali Scanner is on the wing, and as I was afraid, this was Motor's highlight. That Motor is looking for a counter, and counters in the extra class are lethal. And it's being proved right here. Wolski 4. Only Onur played well enough to score a brace in our very first game, but other than that, we'll be looking forward to a rebuild. I only met my squad after the first match, and they thought I was not ambitious enough by declaring I just want to avoid the drop. But overall, they left that meeting all happy. So now, it was time to rebuild. First was the staff, which I filled and quickly made it one of the better backroom staffs in the league. Then, I took care of the sales. I offloaded the squad by selling Nauel Szpek, Einar Galilea, Ben Digrizej, Hubert Idasiak, Michał Mokrzycki, Hussein Balic and Piotr Starzyński. During that window though, I've also seen the single worst injury ever. Looks like Dankowski's emergency replacement will be Dawid Szot from Pogoń Szczecin. I also signed Piotr Przybyłko, a talented centre-back from Jagiellonia for 1.8 million, and loaned in Alan Siwek from Borussia Mönchengladbach. But he also came injured. Our second opponents in the league were Lech Poznań at home. In this game, we've seen Joel Pereira making a strike from distance, just like Samet Onur, whose low shot somehow found the net. But that was just a moment of brightness in darkness. The only other point we got before a game against Legia Warsaw was against Jagiellonia Białystok, which means 7 games in, we were 12th. Not that bad position-wise, but keep in mind we're only safe on goal difference. We have to turn this fate around, sooner or later. All we need is a single win. The ball has been cleared and Mishtal gets to it on the left side of the pitch, I believe. Yep, this finds a cross and this finds the goal. Makes a shot over the crossbar. To shot, he finds Samet, who cuts inside into the area, makes a shot. Ojedele. Vinagre with a long shot, and the Portuguese winger in this game scores yet another. Alas two-way. Good shot. Samet, this time with a free kick, hits the post, but Dawid Szot gets to the rebound, scores the first goal for us. Kuczko. Samet makes a shot, and he missed it barely. Despite the loss, this game showed hope, and not without reason. In the very next match against Piast Gliwice, we won our very first game in Łódź. We followed that result with a number of draws and a win against Zagłębie Lubin. So, before the Łódź derby against Widzew, we were in 13th, and the derby win would steer us away from the relegation fight, hopefully for good. Milton, this time he's on the right wing. Urcua finds Milton again, and that far post strike finds the net, and we're losing yet again. Siwek, a striker, with a corner. Justiniano tries to score twice for Nalczyk into an empty net. Alas two-way. Kuczko on the left. He finds Aznar and Diego scores potentially a winning goal with 11 minutes to go. Hilary going on the left wing. He cuts inside and this strike reaches the top bins. We had an advantage in the match stats, just not in the match stat that matters. Thankfully, our domination in the match stats showed against both Górnik Kłęczna and Motor Lublin, as we confidently won against these two. After a heavy loss to Śląsk Wrocław, we entered the winter break on decent 11th, which is a good platform to build from, but we don't have any chances of winning the title. Raków Częstochowa are going invincible. In case you're wondering, these are all the jobs available right now, but I'm not interested in leaving ŁKS before the season runs up, or we get an insane offer, which I didn't want anyway until at least the end of January, when I finally secured a Continental B coaching license, and you guessed it, I straight up applied for the Continental A license. Speaking of January, it's a winter transfer window, which saw an arrival of 3 players I secured during the summer. Damir Staresinic, a right back on loan from Cremonese, Bojan Pawkowicz, a centre back from Novi Pazar, though he went back to Serbia to Grafica for a loan, and a midfielder Michal Hlavatý from Czechia. We returned to action with an away game against Lech, which was one of the more entertaining ones of this save. Starting off with Aliavu's goal scoring into an empty net. But shortly after, Michal Hlavatý scored his first goal in Poland. Aliavus, who joined Lech from the Turkish league, proved he's a league star, finding miles of space and scoring another. But his effort was cancelled again, when Hlavatý set a brilliant ball to Fornaldo, who gave us a huge equalizer. In the second half, Javus seemingly scored a hat-trick, but it was offside. So, it was still a drop, and around the 60th minute, I brought in Santiago Apa. 86 minutes in, we had a brilliant chance. Martinic crossed the ball from the left side, and Santiago's header went just over the crossbar. But in the 92nd minute, we had a throw-in. Far away from Lech's goal, but we passed it to Furman. Then, Kuczko opened up Santiago Apa, who had a brilliant chance to give us a chance for a win, and wasted it. Thankfully, we had some better performances later on. This includes wins over Nieciecha and Jagiellonia Białystok, and draws against Stal Mielec or Raków Częstochowa, who are on course to become invincible. So, before a game against Legia, we were still 11th at the table, and we were steering away from the relegation fight. If we get a result in our sold-out stadium, we may as well look upwards. Legia somehow find their way out, but they lose possession still. Alat Stui has been brought down, is stepping up, will take it, and he scores into the bottom corner. Fantastic start for us. Igor Strzałek delivers a cross. It's been cleared by Przybyłko, but the ball goes back to Reguła, who's on the right side now. Strzałek enters the area and he scores into the top bins. Jürgen Elitim this time with a corner to Coffee, and that was a fantastic volley. I have to give him that. Przybyłko, Fornalczyk finds Siwek in the middle. Siwek is on the 1v1, scores an equalizer. Alastui. Siwek finds space, scores for a 3-2. We're taking the lead over Legia. It's been cleared, but Hlavatý heads it to Siwek, who cuts inside, scores a hat-trick as we wanted. 4-2 over Legia Warsaw, and it's pretty much over. What a win! What a win! And it would just be perfect if we did not lose to rock bottom Piast Gliwice, which pretty much solidifies our zone in the table. We will most likely finish between 8th and 11th, playing for a whole bunch of nothing. And now we of course got more losses. Against GKS Tychy, Ruch Chorzów and Zagłębie Lubin, all fighting against relegation, which showed that the famous win over Legia was more of an accident. We finished the 26-27 season on a safe 11th place, away from pretty much anyone fighting for Europe or for survival. This is a perfect scenario for us though. We can focus on making this squad even stronger for the next campaign. But will we? I have to tell you a little secret. Don't know if you know, but I only have 6 seasons left to win the Champions League. And now I'm at a crossroad. Either we could look for a new job in a top league now and have to deal with a new reality, all while being slightly unprepared to be fair. Or we can stay in Łódź, complete our Continental A coaching license, maybe challenge for Europe or even the title, and then go to the top league. But the only club that is looking for a manager and will stay in the top flight for next season in the top league in Europe is Strasbourg in France. Of course, I applied, and they said no. And with every other job listing being from a side that got relegated, I think we just need to complete our Continental A coaching license in Poland. So, we prepared by letting out players again. I'm talking Barna Benchen-Leitner, who returned to his native Hungary. Santiago Apach went to Argentina, Kamil Dankowski, who will try to restore his career in Sweden, Gleb Kuczko, who went to Ruch Chorzów, and Antonio Majcenic, who found a loan to Radnik Surtulica. I decided to use the money to make our left back slot much stronger, with Dawid Bartkowiak from Zagłębie Lubin for 1.1 million and Jakub Krzyżanowski from Wisła Kraków for $500,000. Then, a free agent Noel Jakacz improved our front line, just like Radek Tyce, on loan from Sparta Prague. Our season started with a game against Śląsk Wrocław, and this time, the start to the season, but just like the last one. Mainly because we won 3-2, and the season before, ŁKS also started by beating Śląsk Wrocław, though it was 4-1. But this time around, we capitalized on that victory, with favorable draws over Jagiellonia and Lech Poznań, and 4 more wins at the start of the campaign. We were somehow leading the league, right in front of Raków and Lech. With a win over Legia Warsaw, we could show the league we're in contention for the title. Sent long to Mark Gual, who takes control of the ball, passes to Reguła, and Reguła unfortunately opens up the scoring. Bochna gets that ball in the area, finds a pass to Aznar. Aznar scores a massive equalizer here. Paluszek with another possession loss. Mark Gual launches a counter to Gruda, and Brian is about to score the second. This title fight started to look insane. 6 teams are now within a point from each other, and it could lead to some crazy build-up throughout this year. Unfortunately, 2 draws over Raków and Górnik, as well as a loss to Pogoń followed. We cannot escape the title fight, and it may as well stay tight throughout the entire campaign. But will we be a part of it? I'm not talking about the club, I'm talking about me packing my bags and moving abroad. Because I'm looking at the calendar and it's the end of October. The perfect time for clubs to sack underperforming managers, and the perfect time for us to jump into a top 5 league. The first man to lose his job was Juan Carlos Duque, who lost his job after dragging Toulouse in France to a relegation fight. This might actually be a perfect chance to jump ships for us, so, as you might have guessed, I'm applying for this. They of course said no, so I guess I return to that topic when something more interesting than the 500th rejection happens. And to cut out any speculation about me joining a new club, everyone, and I mean everyone, said no. So there is some pressure building up in Poland. We now have to win the league title with ŁKS Łódź to have any chance of getting a job in a top 5 league. Without it, our window of Champions League opportunities will be very, very limited. So let's go back to our season, as we return to the Łódź derby against Widzew. The only goal came from a corner, and thankfully it was our goal. Pedro Justiniano headed the ball in and gave us the huge derby win. Fun fact, a nephew of Clarence Seydorf played in that game, but he was only here for a couple of minutes. We also added a win over Wisła Kraków, a draw against GKS Tychy, and a win over Śląsk Wrocław. This kept us in a title race. In second place, 3 points behind Cracovia. But then, both Fortuna Sittard and Heracles Almelo offered me an interview. Both teams are struggling in the Dutch league, but I think even a mid-table finish in the Netherlands could be far better than qualifying for Europe in Poland. I accepted both invitations, and after making sure I responded correctly to all the questions, maybe it was time to move. While Fortuna rejected me, Heracles offered me a contract, but I also had a board meeting to attend. This is a genuine crossroad now. I am now choosing between fighting for the title in Ekstraklasa or trying to ensure survival, but in the Netherlands. And my decision is, I want to try a bit bigger transfer budget first, and while we did not agree, I'm still walking away from the interview from Heracles Almelo. Quite surprising, isn't it? But what you might have missed is that I kept saying I'm targeting a job in a top 5 league, and the Netherlands are 6th. What's more, winning the league, even the Polish one, will put me in a much better position when it comes to new job opportunities. So, let's get that title. And lose Radek Tyce because Sparta thought he played out of his role, despite that role being locked in and personalized for him. Yes, we have to do with Wojciech Ranusz instead. He's cheaper anyway. Angry at his playing time, Paluszek also left to Górnik Łęczna. We return to action with a Continental A coaching license in my hand, the penultimate coaching badge. And on the pitch, we started with a game against Jagiellonia Białystok, in which Diego Aznar scored the brace, leading us to a late win. Which means, if we get a win over Lech Poznań, we may take the lead in the league. Castro Montes now on the right side of the pitch, will be looking for a cross. Castro. And Jakobczyk starts this game with a goal in the very second minute. And it's a corner for Lech. Castro Montes again, this time to Sami Dudek, and from a rebound Brian Fabema scores. Diliberto, very open chance, and he obviously scores. Jakobczyk is on the left. Fiabema. No, this isn't a penalty as well. Żugail. Not stopped. I can already tell we'll be like third in the league. Krawati. Samet. Finds Bochnak. It's a consolation. Krawati to Samet. Samet dribbles past Sami Dudek. Samet is in the area. Passes to Furman. 4-2. Well, at least we've won the second half, but they don't give points for losing, even if you win in the second half. Maybe that sensational title run was a bit too sensational, especially since Matias Dufu, now our backup keeper, left for Pogoń Szczecin for just 100k. We also lost 3-0 to Motor Lublin and 4-1 to Lechia, which means we're in a fight for second place at best. But we must count on Cracovia dropping some points on the way if we want to win our first major trophy. Only a win against Legia can bring us back into the contention. As it's a corner for us, Krawati and Przybyłko with header gives us the lead over Legia Warsaw. Thankfully Przybyłko wins that ball back. Alasue though loses it. We'll be making changes very soon, but Kofi now gets to the chance and scores an equalizer, unfortunately. It's offside. He's on the left wing. And Kacperski misses the ball and may also provoke a penalty. Mark Gual versus Kacperski. And an ideal strike from Gual. A draw against Legia, and unless a miracle happens in the next couple of games, I'm pretty convinced that our goal will be to just stay in the top 4 rather than push for the title. At least LKS will cover my final coaching badge, the Continental Pro license, which may finally allow me to manage in the top 5 league, but only after this season. Let's find out how does it finish. Starting off with a win over Górnik Zabrze. Then we faced Kraków, one of our rivals in this race. We proved our set-piece strength, with Maciej Łuszcz scoring from a corner. Jorge then rushed from the middle to enter a 1v1 and doubled our lead. And although Drapiński scored for Raków after a free kick and our own players wanted to stress me out, we held on, getting a crucial win. We then made a comeback win over Pogoń Szczecin, scoring 3 goals in 9 minutes to get all 3 points. Against GKS Katowice, we made another comeback. This time, with the help of 2 penalties, we changed the result from 2-0 to 5-2 in our favor. A 3-0 win over Termalika Nieciecza was much less chaotic and sorted out in the first half. This run of form helped us jump into second in the table. We're 5 points behind Cracovia with 3 games to go. And we can make it 2 with 2 games to go. Because the next match is a sort of a title decider between us two. Win, we still have a chance. Draw or lose, the title may head to Kraków. Here comes to Kalman. Rakoczy finds a lot of space. And he uses that space to score the first goal. And we do get the chance. Wiśniewski, Krawati. Wiśniewski with a cross. Bartkowiak doesn't get to that header, but Furman takes the ball back. Bartkowiak is in the area. Finds Krawati. Hits the crossbar. At least finally something going on, but unfortunately nothing is going in. He's looking for a cross. He finds the cross. Ravas is saving the title for Cracovia today. The dream is now over. I mean, I'm not upset or anything, because we played well above expectations this season. But we still had to secure a slot in Europe, as long as we finish in the top 3. That's because Zagłębie Lubin from the second division won the Polish Cup, defeating Pogoń Szczecin's B-team? I have not yet officially seen everything in this game, but I did see quite a lot. Our competition for those European slots is Raków, Lech and Legia. And our opponents? Barely surviving Widzew Łódź and already relegated Wisła Kraków. Though we have to remember, the rivalry against Widzew Łódź is the fiercest LKS rivalry. It's the derby, so we have to be alert at all times. Thankfully, Diego Aznar scored for us, but we've almost seen an overhead goal from Widzew. And the 94th minute equalizer, of course! Of course! And this means, to have any chance of overtaking Legia Warsaw in the final match day, we have to win over Wisła Kraków. Thankfully, they're rock bottom, so maybe we'll get that result while Legia plays mid-table Stal Mielec. Wisła though started this game strong. Then Fornalczyk tried to force a penalty, which he did, and Krawati converted it. Diego Aznar doubled the lead 30 minutes in, completed his own brace in the 64th, and finished a hat-trick in the 90th. Wisła even missed an open goal opportunity, and from our side, the task was completed. But is it enough to get a top 3 finish? Unfortunately, instead of finding a way to fight back, Stal Mielec let 2 more goals in at the end of their game, knocking us out of the podium and Europe. Still, it was a very positive season overall, but I feel we didn't get what we could. 4th place wasn't our peak. I'm saying we could have even won the title or gotten a podium at the very minimum. Looks like the second Slovak League title is still our only trophy. But we cannot feel sorry for ourselves for too long. We got so distracted by this title fight, we forgot that we reached a halfway point of this challenge. Our big goal is the Champions League, and we have only 5 seasons left. The time is running out. We have to go to the big leagues now, but we still have to wait for something to come up, unless we want to manage in the second tier. I'm thinking about RC Lyon. They might be in that second division, but they have 20 million euros of a transfer budget, and we could get them promoted straight away. But I still think I can go directly to the top flight. I'll give this loan application a week, because I want to see if I can go to the top 5 league first. And my chances are as follows: AS Roma, Real Sociedad, Union Berlin, and Southampton and Leeds, though both are going down from the Premier League. You guessed it, Lyon offered an interview first, and I must admit it was more of the same. Leeds, Southampton and Union all heard I'm considered for a loan job, so they all asked for an interview too. And I actually got offers now, from both Leeds and Southampton, but I delayed them, knowing they'll play in the Championship. Even Lech Poznań offered an interview by themselves, but I wasn't interested, although maybe one day. Because although Real Sociedad and AS Roma didn't even invite me for an interview, Lyon said yes. But I delayed them as well, as I found out Fortuna Düsseldorf was also looking for a manager. Remember, our priority is the top tier, but they said no just like Fulham. So the decision is between 2 clubs. I crossed out Southampton, because they only have half of the transfer budget compared to Leeds. Imagine 100 million of a transfer budget in the Championship, and we can spend it all. Or we can only get a fifth of those finances in loan, but that's France. After getting promoted, we could aim much higher in Ligue 1 than in the Premier League. But I still decided that money talks. And so, I have decided we're leaving Poland, we're going back to England in this challenge, and we take charge of Leeds United. Welcome to the Elland Road, as I'm looking forward to a new chapter, 1 or 2 seasons in Leeds, and then we go for the top job and try to win the Champions League. In the 1990s, Leeds United had a golden age. They won the last ever First Division, the English top flight before the Premier League, finished regularly in the top 5, qualified to the Champions League football and the UEFA Cup numerous times. But they spent the recent years mainly in the top half of the Championship with a short stint in the Premier League. In this save, the main goal for Leeds is to establish themselves in the Premier League. Results varied. This season, the goal is to get involved in the promotion fight and win it. To help achieve it, Leeds gave me 83 million euros of a transfer budget and another million per week in wages. But there is a reason behind this level of funds. Our squad is quite small. Most of the players are around 30 years old, and many of them want to leave after a relegation. And guess what? We don't have a goalkeeper. At least, we do have some decent players who can contribute to our future success, especially in the backline, with internationals David Hansko, Jaka Biel or Stefan Pösch. More up front, we have the likes of Jamie Donnelly and Tommy Doyle in the midfield, and on the wing is Luciano Rodriguez, already worth 100 million euros. This season is a make or break for us in this challenge, so let's get to work. I started by promoting the most talented players to the first team. The best of the bunch seems to be Paul Kinlan, a winger, and a centre-back Kevin O'Connor. Then, I spent a number of minutes just setting up recruitment focuses, because Leeds had none. The next step? The tactic. I decided to go with a 4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder. Our goal is to counter-attack and also has the elements of the proper Brexit ball. And most importantly, the transfers. First, I decided to move Ronnie Stotter to Oxford United, Miguel Silveira to Austria Klagenfurt, Netelavi to Alaves, and Rasmus Christensen to Porto. We had quite a lot of money, so I obviously used them. First, I sorted out the goalkeeper position. Our starting keeper will be Mats Hermansen from Leicester, and his backup will be Kristoffer Klesson, who returns to the club after a stint at Viking. At right back, I signed Mateusz Giełda from Lech Poznań, and up front, welcome Adrian Benedyczak from Nottingham, as well as Garan Kuol from Newcastle. Half of the team wanted to leave due to relegation, but I wasn't going to let that thought overwhelm them. We have to get going, and our debut is a championship game against Stoke City. And Jaka Biel starts with a header and gives us the lead over Stoke City. He's on the right wing, making a cross to Nakamura. Nakamura with a header, and that's 2-0 for us. Biel gets that ball, Posh. He finds Benedyczak in the penalty area. Benedyczak makes it free. It was a quick 1-2, and it leads to Mena giving this cross to Murillo, who wins a penalty for Stoke. It's McBurney who steps up and scores. No clean sheet today. Doyle. He finds David Hansko on the left side, and Hansko makes a pass to Marquis, who scores a 4th goal. We start our championship campaign with a win. Despite everyone causing problems in the team, we still started the season okayish, I guess? Sure, we lost to Coventry and Millwall, but at the start of the season we sat in 6th, which is the playoff spot. Of course, it's not enough, so we will push to make that promotion automatic. But one thing I had to act on is all those players wanting to leave, and some unfortunately did. Like Jakabiol, who forced a move out to Wolverhampton, and Diogo Monteiro, who I sold to Birmingham. In their place, I welcomed a right back Jure van Aken from Aston Villa and Marco Pellegrino from Parma, who cost below 10 million combined. The final transfer is Amir Richardson, also from Parma, for 50 million. With this squad, we are predicted to win the whole championship, and all we have to do is to keep winning and put those transfer worries away. Though Stefan Posch did not and is sabotaging us. Thankfully he's paid the fine, but he stays on the bench as we take on Nottingham Forest, one of the other promotion candidates. And let me just tell you something. Some of the mistakes I have seen were pretty much intentional. The one from David Hansko in the 3rd goal and the penalty conceded by Wibber are definitely one of those. Even though Donley and Nakamura scored a goal each, we conceded 4 in total. And this was a proper clown show to say the least. After which, we fell outside the playoff zone. If we want to get back on track, we have to win over a fellow relegated side, Southampton. Finds Rodriguez on the right wing, he finds Squall, no. But we're still in Southampton's area, and we win possession back. Crook is not offside. One of the defenders broke the line. Harvard Bells, Meyer, Sanchez, and it goes to Tulo, who hits it into the near post. It looks like we are finishing with yet another draw. It starts to look like we're bouncing back. Slowly though. The only loss in October or November was against Sheffield United. The rest, mostly wins, including those over other promotion candidates, Ipswich Town and Sunderland. At the start of December, we were 7th in the league, not a playoff spot, but all we need is a good run of form to get where we want. But December is also the most intense part of the season. And yes, that's us in the Carabao Cup quarter-final against Manchester City. We beat Lincoln City, Blackburn, MK Dons and Norwich on the way there. Those Nunez, he gets that ball to Taylor. Taylor enters the area and just misses. Lamptey finds Osimhen. Mateus Nunez has plenty of space and he uses that to open up the scoring. Osimhen with the ball outside of area and he enters it, and that was way too easy for him. Marquis again advancing forward, but this time he's near the area. Benedicak, he now gets past the defender fully and he scores an equalizer against Manchester City. Marquis again. Bosagli gets that ball. Richardson. And somehow this ball finds Squall and he scores potentially a winning goal over Manchester City. The Manchester City manager is doing something here, but it does not matter. We've won over Manchester City. And turns out it's not the only good news this month. We also did pretty well in December in the league, with 2 wins over Birmingham, a win over Reading, Sheffield Wednesday or Watford. It wasn't perfect as we lost to Cardiff and Leicester, but overall, it helped us jump to 5th place as we properly joined the promotion race. With wins over Southampton, Ipswich and Wrexham, we even climbed to 3rd, which is fantastic news, because in the next week we have 2 crucial cup games, 2 legs of the EFL Cup semi-final against Middlesbrough. Unfortunately, we'll have to play without Ao Tanaka, who went to Leicester for 22.5 million, and Samuel Lucero, who joined Sporting for 41 million. Moore finds Kuszej on the left side, and this starts with the post being hit by the Czech man. Marty Rena makes a pass to Aida, who scores the first of tonight, but it could go down to the VAR. Nathan Huntley is saying it's offside, looking for an opportunity to pass. He makes the run. That was a fantastic run, and Adrian Benedicak scores it into an empty net. Is by the byline, passes to Van Aken. Van Aken to Donley, who scores the 2nd goal. First leg done. It's very real. We'll be going to Wembley. We have a 2-0 lead over Middlesbrough in this EFL Cup semi-final, and we have to make sure we at least keep it. As Kuol enters the area and instantly makes it free. Middlesbrough though have a corner. Zagaritis, and this header from Adam Aida finds the net as well. Doyle finds Benedicak, and that's the 4th. Oh, that's offside. Hansko is on the left. Kuol needs to make a run wide, and Crook scores the 4th. Kuol is going forward, and he gets past 2 opponents, Now goes wide. Makes a cross. Crook scores the second header. Martirena is on the right side and Kuol wins it back but loses it instantly. Doyle concedes a penalty. If Mats Hermansen can save that, it would be fantastic. Adam Aida scores. Donley passes to Stanczyk. Stanczyk makes a pass to Kuol. Can he go for a second goal tonight? He does. It's 4-2. We're going to Wembley to an EFL Cup final. We can win our very first major trophy in this challenge. It is the Carabao Cup, not the most prestigious one, but it is still a major trophy. In the final, we will play Liverpool, who were meant to go to extra time against Bournemouth, but Karim Konate scored a 94th minute winner to send the Reds to Wembley. But we can still cause an upset. We can still claim a piece of silverware. And it's us in possession, but Hermansen launches a long one to absolutely nobody. But Ibrahima Konate makes a mistake. Benedicak with a chance. Has not left Liverpool in this save. Dembele finds Ferguson. And unfortunately, the Irishman gives the Reds the lead. Who launches Kuol on the left side. And now Kuol, the Australian, is cutting into the area. Makes an individual solo run. What a run that was from the Australian. Liverpool's throw-in. Vets. To Alexis McAllister. Karim Konate has the ball. Dembele was miles offside. I haven't seen the reaction of the assistant referee, but it's offside, it's confirmed. They have a corner. Szoboszlai. And Rafa Marin with a goal. As we win possession, Marquis, Doyle, passes it to Nakamura on the left side. He finds Rodriguez on the right, makes it close to Marquis, who equalizes it again. As we'll be heading into the extra time in the EFL Cup final against Liverpool. Cody Gakpo, who's been brought from the bench. Konate was offside. I just want to say Karim Konate was offside, and this means we have to wait for the referee's decision. It is. Rodriguez is on the right. He advances to the area. Kelleher easily catches it. Penalty shootout. The ref decided to just stop it here. I don't know why. Let's do this. Tommy Doyle starts the penalty shootout. And he scores against Kelleher. Next up is Dominik Szoboszlai, as he is going to score into the middle. And he also scores to the middle. Everyone is so nervous. They're scoring to the middle. Only Doyle went with a usual routine. Florian Wirtz versus Hermansen. Can our keeper do this? No. Wirtz with a perfect strike. Hanska. The Slovak scores. Big chance for him to score. Nakamura. And he uses his confidence to score into the middle. So many penalties into the middle today. Mats, just stay in the middle, please. Third of a chance you actually save it. Konate scores it. Jamie Donley who steps up. Quick run in. It's Cody Gakpo versus Hermansen. And Hermansen saves it. We win the EFL Cup over Liverpool. We've somehow made it. And we win our first major trophy of this challenge. With this victory, we also guaranteed ourselves a chance to play in Europe. In this challenge, where we have to win the Champions League, we will start in the Conference League, but it's still something. Winning the cup is still brilliant and it shows our potential, but that's just a bonus. The main task here is for us to get promoted. We lost 2 games before the cup final, against West Brom and Millwall, but Garang Kuol showed up to score a winner over Bristol City, the other promotion candidate. With 12 games to go, we are 4th in the league, 7 points behind automatic promotion. Our goal is to nullify that gap. We will have to do it without Stefan Posch though, who missed training again before the EFL Cup final, so I sold him to Feyenoord. We unfortunately dropped points against Blackburn, but then we got important wins over Nottingham Forest and Crawley Town. The key game in this promotion race is against the team that leads the championship, Sunderland. Win, and we halve our gap to them. Break to Isidor Estevao. Brilliant run into our area and he gives the lead to Sunderland. Rodriguez looking for a pass. Babadi. Hermansen had trouble saving that. Rodriguez will rush to it first. Van Aken. Rodriguez and Marquis scores an equalizer from this mess in the box. The ball goes to Bloom. Estevao. Bosagli, what have you done? Are you serious? And that's the third, and that's Joe Bellingham again. Marquis advances. Marquis is on a 1v1 with the keeper. And that's 2-3. Cleared to Parker. And Alessi scores the 4th. This type of a performance is one of the reasons why we're not steamrolling the league and easily getting promoted. The same thing happened against Hull City. And even though we won over Luton, Stoke and Coventry, we weren't in a position we'd be happy with. With 3 games to go, we were already certain of the playoffs, but the automatic promotion looks like a miracle now. We won 1-0 over already relegated Reading and 3-0 over Watford, with Sunderland losing to Hull City and Nottingham Forest. We are only 2 points behind our promotion rivals, which means as long as we win over Sheffield Wednesday in the final match day, we still can get automatic promotion, but it's not in our control. We also have to count on Charlton Athletic stealing points from the Black Cats. Cool. Is in front of the area, will be looking to make a shot. He does make a shot and he opens up the scoring. He's now advancing down the left side, makes a low cross. Benedicta gets to that ball. It's number 25 in all competitions for the Polish striker. Kuwal is pushing forward, looking for maybe a brace tonight. Kuwal with a second goal. It's a pass to Rodriguez. Rodriguez is looking to make a cross. Benedicta makes it 4 to Sadie. And Adrian Benedicta on the way to score a hat-trick. Unfortunately, we are not seeing a miracle in Charlton, as we are going to win over Sheffield Wednesday, but we are losing the promotion fight. So close, yet so far. Who knows, maybe if we got a couple of better results throughout the season, we would celebrate now. But we have to brush it aside anyway. We still have a chance of getting promoted. We just need to win the playoffs. Our semi-final opponents are Millwall, who finished this season on 6th. Donnelly makes it past to Nakamura. Nakamura with a strike hits the post, and somehow it hits through the head of Roberts, who scores an own goal with this one. And Bellegarde unfortunately puts it into the top bins. Already wasted 2 corner chances. It might be that we lose the goal again. Morgan to Parashiv, and this time it's going in. To Bellegarde. Hill. Bellegarde. Hill. Bellegarde enters the area. It's offside. It's offside this time. No, it's not. We're done. Absolutely abysmal performance with this. We'll not get promotion. We still have 90 minutes, but I don't have any hope. But he first wins the ball back. And he's advancing past 2 defenders. Makes a shot. And this is a 1-0. Kruk with a strike despite an injury. Hansko wins the ball back. Rodriguez now is in the middle. Passes to Donnelly. Donnelly back to Rodriguez. Rodriguez will be looking for a strike. 2-0! 2-0 against Millwall. Bellegarde passes it to Parashiv. He's already scored a nasty lob against us. And unfortunately, it's back to 2 goals deficit. Rain Adelaide. I mean, it's all or nothing tactic. Let's be real here. Rodriguez. Oh no! You are so stupid! Morgan now. He's crossing it to Stewart, and a lack of reflexes from Hermansen lead to this. During this campaign, we showed we are probably the strongest side in the championship. But what we lacked was that final push numerous times, which led to stupid losses and ultimately the lack of promotion. But at least, we won our first major trophy, and time would show we also got the chance to claim the second. We also played in the FA Cup, where we started with a win against Rotherham, against whom Benedicta scored a hat-trick. Our opponents in the 4th round though were Chelsea. Despite the stature of the opponent, I still decided to start with a rotated squad. This game was between the League Cup semi-final matches. Andrei Santos gets the ball to Lavia, who passes to Santos, who scores the first goal. A small pass to Lopez here, but he loses possession. Nkunku to Palme, he plays to Santos, and Santos scores the second. Next pass to Posh. He plays it to Lopez. We have a ball sent to Kruk, and Firth, I think he was offside. Back to Kruk. Kruk advances to the byline, makes a cross to Benedicta, and that's a right now a consolation, but also the goal that gives us some hope here on Elland Road. Takes it, and Posh makes a pass to Weber, who somehow gives an equalizer. Santos is in the area. He'll be looking to make a cross to Retegui, and he does not score a hat-trick. We're playing it out from the back. Nakamura gets the ball. Imeri passes it to Nakamura. We've scored the 3rd goal 89 minutes in. The Japanese is a hero. It is a brilliant win for us. It showed our determination and our belief we can turn almost everything around. Next up, we faced Brighton, and we dominated them. We scored 3 goals past them, and in the quarter-final, we somehow got to play a League 2 side, Cheltenham. We easily won 4-0 against them, and with it, we headed to London, but not to Wembley just yet. We still have to win over Tottenham to reach our 2nd cup final this season. Our play from the wing, Pedro Porro, unfortunately wins it back. Of course, there's no Benedictic. Oh, wait! Crook with a chance! Pedro Porro now again on a set piece. This time the set piece is a throw-in. Brennan Johnson cuts inside and opens up the scoring. It's Tottenham with a counter. Shaquille Van Persie on the left wing. Gets past our defender Van Aken, and that's the second. Pedro Porro to Dukure Kulusevski inside the area. Shaquille Van Persie into an empty net. This season proved the potential of Leeds United. We won our first proper trophy in this challenge, which opens up an amazing chance to secure a job in the top 5 league. In March, I also secured the final coaching course and got a Continental Pro license, which will allow me to manage in a top tier club. And yes, I forgot to make a screenshot from that event. I'll be honest with you. If we got promoted with Leeds, I did see myself sticking to the Whites for the rest of this challenge. But without the promotion, we have to move on. We only have 4 seasons left to win the UEFA Champions League, and we are not going to do so with Leeds, despite qualifying them to the Conference League. The only offer available now is the one from St. Pauli in the Bundesliga. Just over a week later, a job opened up at Bournemouth, who finished mid-table in the Premier League, but was below what you expect from Jurgen Klopp, who just lost his job. AC Milan also started looking for a new manager after Marco Rose left for Manchester United. The first team to respond was St. Pauli. The interview with them was smooth, and they also offered the job first, but I delayed it. This is my last resort option. Bournemouth were next, and they seem to be ambitious. The Cherries' chairman wants me to qualify for the Europa League and challenge for the Premier League by the end of this challenge, and that's what I like. But before they got back to me, AC Milan offered us a job interview. And I'm just going to say it now. If we get the offer, we take it. No questions asked. Yes! Yes, yes, we've got it. We've got it. AC Milan, who finished 3rd in the Serie A last season and will be playing in the Champions League this year, have actually offered us a contract. And you know what? This is the last club we may manage in this Zero to Champions League challenge. This is one of the teams I don't even have to introduce. We're talking about a club that won 7 Champions Leagues in real life and 1 more in this save so far. That's because they're the current title holders after winning against Bayern Munich in extra time. They've also won 20 Serie A titles, but it only includes 1 in this save. This is an incredibly ambitious team, and that only benefits us. Because I have a simple goal. In Milan, I want to win the UEFA Champions League. In the first meeting with our new players, I clearly stated that, as well as the fact we will challenge for all trophies we can get. I also mentioned in the press conference how big of a club I've joined right now and how eager I am to step into this challenge. Our squad has some stars involved, like Rafael Leão, Christian Pulisic, Thiago Almada or Malik Thiaw. Unfortunately, some of the players are on the wrong side of 30. This indicates I will have to make a rebuild, but I don't plan on making an overhaul. Don't worry, we have 4 seasons to win the Champions League with Milan. Although our staff is still lacking some numbers, so I first had to fill it. Our debut came in the middle of the FIFA Club World Cup. We're starting with a quarter-final against Manchester City, during which I still forgot to put in the tactical instructions I wanted, which led to Erling Haaland scoring. Unfortunately, we did not become any better in the second half. Jeremy Doku went on a solo run, which he ended with a goal of his own. Nearing the end of the match, Haaland had a free kick. With a couple of passes between him, Tierney and Ruben Dias, the middle one scored and we got knocked out in the quarter-finals. Looks like we'll have to play and wait a couple of games to see our team's full potential. And we also need to find a new goalkeeper. Thanks to Mike Magnon and a midfielder Tiani Reinders, both living for a big payday in Saudi Arabia, we got 100 million euros of a budget. And I spent it all on Ibrahima Sangare Kouakou from Monaco, who is already one of the best keepers on the planet. I also brought in a new defensive midfielder, Enrico Martelli from Sampdoria, for just 6 million. With these two, we got 1 more chance to claim a trophy before we even start the league season. We're talking about the UEFA Super Cup, where we'll take on the Europa League winners, Tottenham. In this game, we are given a total of 3 penalties, and Theo Hernandez stepped up to all of them. He scored the first 2, but he just couldn't get that hat-trick. Thankfully, we also have Rafael Leão, who added a brace of his own, and with that, we won our first trophy with Rossoneri. 4-0 over Tottenham, who will play in the Champions League this year, is a sign that we can reach the goal of this challenge before the deadline. But first, the league season has to begin. Our debut opponents in the Serie A are Spezia, and we are the clear favorites here from the get-go. Goes down the left side, and Pulisic heads it in. It's our first goal in the Serie A this season. Mohamed Touré launches the ball to Asilani. Rafael is in the penalty area and he scores for a 2-0. Going to pass it back, or no, he's going to cross it. And Rafael potentially wins the penalty. Pio Hernandez doesn't score again, just like in the Super Cup. Malo Gusto to Touré. Touré to Pulisic, and Pulisic scores the third. We've dominated this game, and I hope this is the fate of the rest of the Serie A season. But our first important league game was against Napoli, in which we started with an offside goal. Just 4 minutes later, Aslani actually scored, and it stood. Napoli though scored from a corner, and it took until the second half for a new goal to come in. A fine low shot by Mohamed Touré. But right after the kickoff, the referee pointed to the spot. Thankfully, VAR overturned the decision. But the ref still wanted to give the penalty for Napoli, and 79 minutes in, he did. However, Ibrahima Sangare Kouakou wrote his first great moment at Milan, saving the penalty and winning us the match. And this good run of form continued. We've won over Bologna, Parma or Cremonese, and by the end of October, we had 25 points. Still, not enough to overtake Inter in the standings. The league campaign is cool and all, but winning the Serie A is not the goal of this challenge. The goal is to win the Champions League. And finally, in the 7th season, it's time for our debut. Our fixture list is tough. Yes, we will take on Ferencvaros and Kraków, but at the same time, just look at it. We're literally starting with the Milan derby against Inter. Unfortunately, we'll have to play without our main centre-back Pierre Kalulu, who got his cruciate ligaments damaged. Almada has a chance to open up the scoring for us, and his shot has been blocked, but Liberali with a volley, and he opens up the scoring. And Martelli loses possession. It's the consequence of having a 11, and Gusto has been fouled, and he's being sent off. He's being sent off. Keep the result rather than attack for the second. But instead, we obviously concede. Limoeiro. Back to the keeper. Back to Tio. He loses possession like an absolute amateur. It looks like Inter's free kick. Barella. And we also concede a penalty. This amazing, just amazing, just amazing. Congratulations, congratulations. Fantastic display. This is how you keep the lead. Sangaro already saved a penalty against Napoli, but I don't expect a save here. Let's be real. Well, he saved it, so if this is how we play in our Champions League debut, I'm scared of seeing what happens next. Especially since Paris Saint-Germain are next. But so far it's a corner for PSG. Randall Kouamani with a goal. He's going down the right wing, despite the fact he's a centre forward. Passes it to Martelli, who's on the pitch. And Martelli equalizes. But thankfully we clear it. Kvaratskhelia. We're looking for Kolomwani, who scores a brace. Pulisic is going down the right wing. We'll be looking for a cross to Liberali, I think it was, trying to finish it off. Or easy to Almada. Almada to Doué, who cuts inside. Terrible finishing. This start is the exact opposite of ideal, and we had to turn it around. Against Benfica and Borussia Dortmund, we achieved 2 draws, which could be vital. And then finally, a first win came. A dominant final victory against Hungarian champions Ferencvaros. But that was a warm-up before a much stronger opponent, Chelsea, who also scored first thanks to Enzo Fernandez. However, our playmaker Aleksander Magdziak went on a solo run, which he ended with a low shot. Then in the second half, Chelsea won a penalty. Nkunku converted it, and with our own goal in the 62nd, I thought this game was over. However, we had a highlight straight from the kickoff, from which Christian Pulisic scored, and it gave us hope. We went all in the final minutes, and 91 minutes in, Rovella sent a ball to our right back Davide Calabria, whose shot found the net after a mess, giving us a huge draw at Stamford Bridge. The big problem is, we only scored 6 points in the league stage so far, and we're on the verge of being knocked out. A win over Raków Częstochowa definitely helped, but not the way we won, because we've only won 1-0. This means, before the final game against Manchester City, we were only 22nd in the league table. Now thankfully, 2 of the teams involved in the knockout playoff slot fight, Fiorentina and Club Brugge, will play against each other, but I don't want to worry about it. I just want to get some points against Manchester City. Gustav, he finds back Liberali. Liberali makes a turn, makes a strike. Jimenez to an empty net. Guardiol, Rodrigo. Oh no, what a terrible clearance. Foden with a pass to Haaland. Haaland finds plenty of space, and this is just Erling Haaland. Back to Bob, to Rodrigo, and that will be free. But somehow we qualified to the knockout playoff round. I still don't know how we've made it to the knockouts. We've got some abysmal matches in this league stage, and I don't even think we deserve to go any further. But we somehow do. And Bayern will be our opponents in the knockout playoff round. However, let's now go back to the domestic competitions. How did the league itself go? We were winning most of the games, including 2-0 wins over Lazio or Atalanta. However, not only did we slip up numerous times, but also Inter decided to become invincible. In January, we were third in the league. The Champions League qualification is likely, but the title is very far away from us. But there is still one more trophy to win, the Italian Super Cup. Our semi-final opponents were AS Roma, who we defeated in extra time. We advanced to the final, where we will play Juventus. Gusto launches Desire Doué on the left. Going to make a pass to Almada, back to Doué, to Komoto, who scores his first of the season. Christian Komoto with a goal. Almada to Rini. He launches Jimenez, who is in a 1v1. Santiago Jimenez doubles the lead over Juventus. Doué advances down the left wing, tries to cut inside. Komoto already scored once today. To Rini, and the 16-year-old makes it free. 5 minutes remaining, Juventus still trying to fight back. Understandable. Escup Miners scores a long shot. Rooney Badji. He passes to Savio, who's going down the left wing. And he makes a low cross to Vlahovic. 2-3. No way. No way. No. 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 Thankfully, Bremer puts it over the crossbar. And that should mean we've won the Italian Super Cup, but the lack of discipline in the final minutes could have lost it. We've won a trophy, but I'm not even happy about it. That's because of the way we almost let it go to Juve, and this has happened way too often this season. Thankfully, we did not have such struggles in the league. By the end of March, we won every league match in 2030, including a 5-2 thrashing of Napoli and wins over Cremonese, Parma or Lecce. But we are still second in the table. Inter were also winning almost everything on their way. But now it's time to return to the Champions League and the Champions League knockouts. But looks like we're starting with Bayern losing possession. Upamecano loses it. Jimenez is on a 1v1 and he's been stopped by Diego Costa, I wanna say. Theo Hernandez with a pass to Almada. He makes a pass to Leao. But Jimenez tries to fight back. Leao into the top bins. And we take the lead over Bayern. Malo Gusto, and we're indeed on the right side of the pitch. He'll be looking for Liberali. We make across to Rafa Leao, and that's 2-0. The brace from the Portuguese man. That pass only could go to the opponents, but Leao wins the ball back. And Jimenez has a chance, and this time he scores. It's 3-0, but I want to say it's offside. Michael Löwer says it's a goal. We'll be going to Munich with a 3-0 lead. Magdziak. Oh, he's losing possession, although even though he should have passed to Gusto already, Musiala was offside. Anthony Taylor disallows it. No! Xavi Simons advances into our area and scores the second. What is going on? They go for the third. I'm going to be... Well, we're also conceding a penalty. Mafistel scores the third. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. Simons to Williams Jr. Parisi tries to win the ball, but only helps Williams go forward. Yep, I'm out. Touré, brilliant volley. As our first man to step up is Thiago Almada, who scores it to the left corner. Sangare Kouakou had a disaster of a game, but maybe he can save himself and our team in the penalty shootout. He starts with a save. This is the third penalty he scored, at least in the matches we've played. Touré! Bottom corner. Already saved our win against Napoli in the Serie A. Now saved the first penalty against Mafistel. This time Musiala, slow shot, but it still found a way. He does. Another bottom corner strike. Sansa steps up. Second saved penalty from Sangare. It's already a deciding penalty. Joe steps up, scores into the top bins. And we're into the round of 16 of the Champions League somehow. We clearly don't deserve to be in the knockouts, yet we somehow found a way past last season's finalists. In the round of 16, it was time to settle things from the league stage. Our opponents were Chelsea. Gusto, against his former club, starts with a throw-in. Liberali. Toure. Finds Almada, who's been brought down, but we get this ball to Jimenez, who opens up the scoring, but it might be offside. But the decision is, it stands. To Aslani. Back to Limoeiru. And Magdziak loses possession again. He just keeps losing possession. In Poland we have a saying that some people play in 2 touches. They take control of the ball and then they lose it. And this is exactly what Magdziak did. Colwell, Nkunku. To Andrei Santos, thankfully. Sangare is there to stop the shot. And looks like the end of the first leg of the Champions League round of 16 against Chelsea. Starting straight from the kickoff though, and it's us instantly losing possession. Of course, Rasmus Højlund is advancing to our penalty area and scores. Scores within 13 seconds! Rafa Leão is still on the left wing. He's looking for a pass to Almada. Rovella. Toure. Scores! Equalizes again. Yermey. And Pavlovic just decided to give him the ball. He did not even fight for that ball. Normally would go for it. Højlund starts the other half with another goal. Guilherme. And finish it. Yep. Why is the defender so far away? Rovella tries to win it back, but it looks like he doesn't want to run anymore. Højlund to Enzo Fernandez. Disaster. That's the one and only word I can describe this match with. We're not playing up to the Champions League winning standard. Thankfully, we still have 3 more chances to go at it. There are still 3 seasons left in this challenge. But before we take on Europe's elite again, there is still the league and the cup to finish. With 10 games left, we're 6 points behind Inter Milan, and we haven't even played them yet. In the league, of course. We'll play them twice only in May. The first match was rescheduled like 3 or 4 times this season already. Before we actually entered the pitch for the derby, we still have some more games to play. First was Lazio, and we got a dominant 4-0 victory against them. Mid-table Torino and Genoa met the same fate, with the exact same result. Sassuolo was defeated 3-0, and we also won 1-0 against Fiorentina. But now, it's time for May, the deciding month of the season. Just 5 games separate us from potentially winning the league and lifting the Scudetto. And if we win all 5 matches, we'll 100% claim the title. We're already qualified for next season's Champions League and will finish in top 2. So now, let's see if we can reach the top of the Italian game. Toure wins the ball back, Almada with a couple of quick passes. Almada is in the area and Almada gives us the lead over Inter Milan. We have such a big problem with advanced playmakers here. Magdziak keeps losing possession, now it's Toure who lost possession. And Ansu Fati is just in the area and just passes it into an empty net and somehow scores it. Loses possession to Di Marco but wins it back. Now cuts inside, is in the penalty area. Will look for a cross. Somehow scores it into the net. Alessandro Bastoni has it written as his own goal. We'll be looking at Inter's play now as Barella is going down the left wing. We'll be looking for a cross. Doku. Lautaro Martinez with a header equalizes, but it could be offside still. It stands, it does not, it's offside. Brilliant. Taking it to Komoto. Liberali cuts inside. Liberali looks for a pass. Rafa Leão to Komoto. Komoto finds Leão back. We still have a chance, and Mattia Liberali somehow scores the 3rd goal with this volley. And we've won. We've won the derby. Far from over. But I want to even say it's just begun. This win was great. So great, in fact, we had to counter it by losing to Atalanta after 2 penalties. Inter demolished Venezia 5-0, which enlarged the gap to 4 points. All we can do now is win all 3 remaining games and hope Inter will lose at least once more. Liberali is going down the right wing. He finds Jimenez with a header and he opens up the scoring. 21st goal of the season in all competitions. Sangare Kouakou. Back to Kalulu. Oh no, what a stupid goal. Slani to Martelli. Martelli to Toure. Toure finds Desare. Doué with a chance. This draw marked the end of our chances of winning the league this year. It was confirmed before we even stepped on the pitch to play Juventus. Inter demolished Torino 6-0, and that was that. We got a 3-3 draw against Juventus in the penultimate match day, and we had to save it in the 91st minute. We could still stop Inter from becoming Centurions though, but let's be real, it's just for the bragging rights. Barella, back to Gavi, and this 1-2 between these two only finds the crossbar just at the start of the stoppage time. Calabria He tries to find Doué, and he scores for a 1-0. I cannot say we had a bad season. We still were very strong this year. It's just the fact that Inter became even stronger this time around, and we just couldn't defeat them. But the league title is not the only trophy we had a shot for this season. There's also the Italian Cup. We went past Frosinone, Bologna and Atalanta on the way to the final, where we will again meet Juventus. Can we get at least one major trophy this season? Rafael advances forward with the ball, launches a counter, is in the area, will try to score it, he does! Almada is still here, passes to Leao, who completes the brace right now, but Pavlovic thankfully somehow wins it back. Theo Hernandez. Now he's on a solo run just like Leao, and he scores the third goal! Can we score the fourth goal inside 24 minutes? Theo Hernandez to Pavlovic. Pavlovic makes a cross to Leao, who scores a hat-trick! But now Rafael down the left side, makes a cross to Bro Hansen. So we've already equaled Sampdoria in terms of the highest victory margin. We can go for the 6-0 here. Almada to Bro Hansen. Bro Hansen finds Turini and the 16-year-old scores. Officially right now, we have the largest margin of victory in the Coppa Italia final. Rooney Bargi gets the ball. Nico Gonzalez was offside. Oh, he's not. It's a pass to Turini. Bro Hansen. Back to Turini. And Almada makes sure we get the record. This is the highest margin of victory in the Coppa Italia final. 7-1 against Juventus. And with that, we will win a major trophy this season. Overall, it was a positive debut season in Milan. Inter won every single title but the first one in this save so far, and it's good we've at least given them a run for the money. We've also claimed a couple of trophies, but not the one we set as our main goal. However, we still have 3 more chances to win the UEFA Champions League, but the sooner we can win it, the better. This year, it was Arsenal taking on Paris Saint-Germain in the final, but they lost it 2-0 thanks to goals from Kvicha Kvaratskhelia and Darwin Núñez. We will stay in AC Milan for the rest of this challenge, and I don't really want to move away from San Siro. The best bet for us is to stay and keep rebuilding until we create a machine that ultimately brings Europe's most prestigious trophy back to Italy. Unfortunately, we only have about 20 million euros of a transfer budget. And yes, I signed this man called Marco Nasti for free. He last played in Saudi Arabia's second tier and returned to us mainly because he's homegrown in Milan. The other signing I've made is Jan Valenta, a newgen from Viktoria Pilsen in Czechia for 7 million. He is going to replace Pierre Kalulu, who went to Saudi Arabia for 45 million euros right now and 45 million in installments. I also let Theo Hernandez go to Saudi Arabia as his contract was running out. His replacement? Adrien Truffet from Inter Milan for 34 million. The last exit? Davide Calabria, who went to Rangers for a loan. I used that money to sign Rafael Luis, who is already a superstar. Meanwhile, on the other side of San Siro, Mikel Arteta replaced Vincent Kompany, who went on to manage Tottenham. So it looks like we have a new rival on the other bench, as the Serie A season started against Bologna. It was a commanding 3-0 win, in which our stars scored a goal each. And with it, we started a very good run. We won over Fiorentina, Napoli or Parma. We only got 2 draws by the end of October, and thanks to a very solid run, we are in the title fight. Though we're only in 3rd because, well, Inter has a perfect start. But Serie A is not the main goal of this challenge. The UEFA Champions League is, and we have a slightly kinder fixture list compared to last season. Some of our opponents are Osasuna, Bournemouth or Legia Warszawa, but our first match is at Allianz Arena. We're taking on Bayern Munich, who want revenge for last season's penalty knockout. Finds Nasty, who's going down the... tries to go down the wing, but Herreros didn't realize the ball was being passed to him. Almada makes a pass to Pulisic from a throw-in. Pulisic tries to cut inside, scores into the top bins, I think. And it looks like we start our Champions League campaign with a win over Bayern München. We then took on Juventus at home, and Marco Nasti's header gave us another win. We also won 3-1 against Osasuna, even though Santiago Jimenez missed a penalty. English teams decided to show they can scrap a point each, and both Arsenal and Bournemouth did so. Both matches ended with 2-2 draws, unlike our game against Borussia Dortmund, because we made quick work of them in the first half and the game ended with a 4-1 win. We're already guaranteed to play in the knockout playoffs, but can we skip into the round of 16? I guess so, because we've demolished Legia Warsaw 7-1 and won 3-1 over Benfica. We finished the league stage in 2nd, just a point behind Real Madrid. But what's more stunning is Anderlecht almost winning it, only losing to Real Madrid in the final match day. In the round of 16, we will take on Manchester City. Of course, we had to get the hardest opponent. But now, let's move into the league. The title fight between us, Inter Milan and Juventus is forming up, and we're playing the latter in the 13th matchday. The stakes are obvious here. Whoever wins will be able to keep up with Internazionale. We have a corner. Liberali is crossing it to the near post. Pavlovic gets that ball. Rafael has a chance and he scores. Though it's an own goal. But what matters is that we take the lead. Liberali has a corner. In the near post. And Cristiano Rimoleiro doubles our lead over Juventus. Borussia has a chance past our keeper and unfortunately scored a consolation goal. But it's offside. And this victory kept us going. We then won over Bari, Salernitana and Lazio to keep our good run of form. But it's the very next game that was going to be vital. We're going to play Inter Milan, and they recently lost their perfect record as they drew Salernitana and lost 1-0 to Roma. This was our chance to capitalize on their loss of form. It starts with Inter's highlight as Boyomo looks like he scored, but the referee might call it offside. Just 4 minutes in, we avoid a conceded goal. Rico Lewis gets past our defender and he's in the penalty area and don't tell me this is a penalty, honestly. This is already not serious. Lautaro scores. Lewis goes down the right side, beats two of our defenders, passes to Lee Kangin. Fratesi cuts inside to Yashari and he ends the game. Looks like we have to count on Inter dropping points in the future. But there is something we can win and Inter can't. That's because we could win the Italian Super Cup for the second time. This time against Sassuolo. In that game, we saw Mattia Liberali scoring a brace and Mohamed Touré adding a goal of his own. Thanks to that, we lifted our first trophy of this season. I hope this is just a forecast of what's going to happen later in this campaign. However, we'll have to make it without Christian Aslani, who we let go to Chelsea. I also accepted a huge €90 million bid for Malik Cho and €45 million for Christian Pulisic. All of that to afford him. Miguel Guerra from Benfica, who joined us for just 63 million and 30 more in installments. And you can clearly tell why. He's just a beast. I also made sure to sign someone at centre back. To be exact, Antonio Luis Arcas from Real Madrid for 50 million. And this movement on the transfer market showed. We were demolished 5-1 by Bologna, lost 1-0 to Hellas Verona and drew Udinese. This disastrous spell threw us a long way behind the title race and it looks like we might even finish third. It continued into March unfortunately, with losses to Atalanta, Napoli or Lecce and draws to Sassuolo and Roma. And we want to win the Champions League while losing to Lecce. We'll talk about the European campaign later though. Let's finish the league first. We're only fighting for second place, and our rivals for it are Juventus. Can we steal that position away from the team from Turin? Kenan Yildiz. We pass to Rooney in front of the area, and he scores after a deflection. This time it's Almada with an own goal. Looks like even the runners-up slot is out of our reach. At least, there's a chance to get revenge. That's because we won against Lecce, Lazio and Roma to go to the Coppa Italia final. The opponents there? You guessed it. Juventus. We still got a chance of winning the second Italian Cup in a row as Nasty gets the ball, heads it in. Koop Mine is now down the left wing. He'll be looking for an opportunity to make a cross and he makes a cross to Nico Gonzalez and he also scores a header. 1-0. Martelli finds Touré and Nasty scores the second goal and it will stand because I can see the linesman is doing nothing. Koop Mine is... Oh no, that is Vlahovic in a 1v1. Scores a goal, but the referee shows up the flag. It is offside. Arcas won the ball, but it's not the end of the highlight. Locatelli to Koop Miners to Bragalini. Vlahovic, this time he scores. Again down the right wing, looking for a cross. Jimenez into an empty net. We take the lead in the extra time. We've won the second Coppa Italia in a row. Maybe it wasn't as spectacular as last time out, when we won 7-1, but a 3-2 after extra time is something we'll take. Nearing the end of the season, we got back on track and comfortably qualified to the Champions League. And on match day 36, we took on Inter Milan and quite thrashed them. 3-0 to be exact. With 2 more wins, over Torino and Genoa, we finished third in the league, way behind Inter and even behind Juventus. But once again, it's not the league or the cup that matters in this video. You may as well ask, where's the Champions League in all of this? And I'm glad you asked, because it's time to take on Manchester City in the round of 16. Rafael Luis, he finds Guerra. Guerra gets past Ruben Dias. Liberali cuts into Guerra, and Guerra makes a shot, and we take the lead over Manchester City. It might be offside though. It's not offside. It stands. Fantastic start. Does Manchester have a corner? Jeremy Pino. Very close to Tierney. We win the ball back. Rodrigo passes to Jeremy Pino, who cuts into our area, and Erling Haaland scores a tap-in. Haaland is going down the left wing. Passes to Pino. Foden, and the deflection lets this ball go find the net. Rovella to Almada. Almada makes a pass to Guerra, who has a chance, equalizes, and it will probably stand because the referee's flag is not up, and we equalize against Manchester City. Foden somehow gets past our left back. Jeremy Pino cuts inside, wins a penalty. He's got Erling Haaland as his opposition, and he cannot save it to Martelli. We just need to keep possession, and then everything will be fine. And we don't keep possession, and it will not be fine. Because Gvardiol makes a pass to Nico Gonzalez. Gonzalez will make a tap into Haaland, and that was extremely predictable. When will you tackle Haaland for once? And we've got 2-goal deficit going to San Siro. I knew this situation was precarious, to the point I had to make sure at least our team spirit is on the right track. I also used the time between the matches to praise everyone for the training form. All because it raised morale. All because I believed. Liberali goes down the left wing. We'll be looking for our first step towards this comeback. Parisi to Rafael Luiz, who cuts inside to Rafael Leao, who's been stopped by Stayskal, but at least it's a corner. Ampadu. There is pressure. This is good. This is good because Guerra has just won the ball. It should be a foul, but the referee decides to stay silent for whatever reason. So we make the karma, we make the best use of an open opportunity for Miguel Guerra, who gives us hope. Rafael Luiz loses possession, but Martelli wins it back very quickly. He's going down the right wing to try and cross it. He crosses it to Guerra. Guerra equalizes. 42 minutes in. Let's be cautiously optimistic about this one. Surprisingly, there were no highlights in the second half, and it looked like we're heading to extra time. But in the 92nd minute, we got one more opportunity. The only thing we have to do is not to lose possession. Remember that. Martelli has a chance, passes to Mohamed Toure, who scored! Comeback is completed against Manchester City in the 93rd minute. And you know what? I'm not changing any tactical instructions because I know this might go wild. Comeback completed so far, but we have to keep on for 3 minutes. Down the left flank, we'll be looking for that pass to Osimhen, but Osimhen doesn't get that ball at all. Jimenez to Rafael Luiz, who has an open chance to finish this game. Guerra wins the header. Almada tries to cut inside Parisi. Just shoot it, anyone. Good. As Thiago Almada, hopefully this time around, delivers the final cross. Or does it even have to, because we win over Manchester City in the 93rd minute. I knew it. I knew this AC Milan team never gives in and never gives up. I knew they could win it. I knew they could turn us around. But now we have to move forward. Who is our next opposition? We got the hardest ladder possible. After Manchester City, we've got Real Madrid. We've got Los Blancos. And with Rafael Leao out for almost the rest of the season, things will be tough. But we have to keep pushing. First, we have to at least defend a solid result against Real Madrid. Because another comeback might be a tough story as Jude Bellingham advances down the left side, finds Retegui, and a header from the close range opens up the scoring. Luiz, he finds Jimenez in the area. Jimenez with a strike. Corrects it, back to Rovella it goes. Parisi is on the left. He's looking for a chance, but this open pass doesn't find anyone. Valverde with a cross from a free kick. Bellingham might be offside, is offside. Thankfully, we're only losing 1-0 still. He's going down the left side. Finds Samardzic. Samardzic is going to tap it in. Or get fouled for a penalty. Jude Bellingham versus Sangare. And Bellingham scores. Exactly the same fate as in the round of 16. Liberali. Liberali finds Jimenez. Guerra, I believe he was offside anyway. Yep. The flag was up. Passes to Parisi down the left side. Wins it back, thankfully. The referee says it's a penalty. Left-footed strike. Please score this. He scores into the middle. We lost this first leg, but it's far from over. Good news, once again the second leg is at our home. And just like against Manchester City, I hope our own walls will lift us up to fight and make a comeback. I repeated the same trick with a team meeting and praising our team's training. So just like they could believe in eventual success. We're going all in. We're going all in, and I hope I will not regret this. Vanderson starts with a throw in for Real Madrid. But it goes to Vinicius Jr. The ball is being cleared, but only to Camavinga, who has a chance. No way! What a disaster of a start. Rafael Luis makes across to Jimenez. I don't want to say anything, because it still may be offside. I haven't seen anything. It stands. Okay. Throw-in. Trufer, don't waste any time here. Jimenez passes it back to the Frenchman, but he loses possession. But Nasty tries to win it back. Does so. Trufer down the left side. Makes a cross, again cleared. Mbappe, but loses the ball. Nasty has a chance. He's going forward. Finds Doué. Doué scores an equalizer against Real Madrid. And it's a free kick for us. Quite close to make a good cross. Jimenez has Nasty. The ball has been deflected, but Nasty still has possession. Almost left the pitch. And Jimenez has a chance, but it's been stopped by Vagias. It's a corner. And it looks like we're going to extra time. Oh no, Trufer has been passed by Valverde and Mbappe. Shh. Not happy with this one, not happy with this one. Vagias found Reteki, but Reteki does not find anyone. And Magdziak gets the chance to go forward. We need Martelli to go forward as well. He cannot just stand there. Makes a cross. Finds Jimenez! Jimenez scores an equalizer again! Is it offside though? It's not! We've equalized in the aggregate again. Just clear this, just clear this, just clear this, just clear this. Good job from Almada. Jimenez is on the left wing. Trufer back to Jimenez. Jimenez to Magdziak. Magdziak to Trufer down the left wing. Plenty of space for the Frenchman. But Almada has to cross it again. He makes it. We scored! We scored! It's Marco Nesti! But it goes down as an own goal for Eduardo Camavinga. What is going on in this season in the Champions League knockouts? We're being crazy here. We made a comeback against Manchester City. 93rd minute winner. Now it's 122 minutes in, own goal. That gives us the Champions League semi-final. Oh my goodness. We've done this again. We have basically become the Real Madrid. They're the ones known for turning games around in the final minutes. Our stance lifted us and helped us win this aggregate in an insane fashion. In the semi-final, our opponents are a bit more within reach, because we're taking on Ajax from the Netherlands. It's Yetten, who makes across to Tillman. Ajax are also willing to make an underdog a story and a half here. He goes past the defender, makes across to Jimenez. It's been cleared, but Parisi wins it back. Parisi and Almada scores 10th goal of the season in all competitions for the Argentine midfielder. Milan with a 1-0 draw. Ajax are also looking to ride an underdog story and a half. I just hope their story ends in the semi-final and we go to the grand finale. It's a promising but not an ideal result. But once again, we're playing the second match at San Siro. The stunts have to drag us up to the final yet again. Jimenez finds Liberali with this header. Guerra is now down the left wing. Shutalo. That was unfortunately clear tackle. Still give it to us? No, he's not giving this. Absolutely fair decision. Rafael Luis. And now we truly launch a play of our own. Jimenez is now advancing into Ajax's area. He needs to make a 10, pass it to Parisi. Parisi is now in the area and Guerra gets the deflection, scores, although I'm afraid it would be offside. It's not offside, it stands. Magdziak now cuts inside, makes a shot, and Keller had to save it. Almada has a chance, maybe to even score, we'll see. He makes the attempt, he hits the post, that was very close. Jimenez takes control of the ball, Martelli passes it wide to Truffert, who may cross it or cut inside himself. That's 2-0 against Ajax. Within just 8 seasons, we made it to the Champions League final, and I hope this is the only final we will play in the safe. I cannot believe it. Okay, Ajax wasn't on the level of Manchester City or Real Madrid, but they still made an underdog story and a half, and also caused a lot of trouble for us. Thankfully, they're left behind in the semi-final, and we made it. We're in the Champions League final. We reached the finish line 2 seasons before the deadline. Now, our only job is to cross it. Our opponents are Paris Saint-Germain, who are the current title holders, and will be looking forward to keeping that trophy. Kvaratskhelia down the left wing, be looking for a chance to make a shot to João Felix. Thankfully he's missed, and he passes to Guerra down the right wing. We go, Rafa Luis to Rafa Leão, long shot! Arnautena saves it at the center back to win possession, and Touré gets the ball, is in the area, has a chance! He scores! We take the lead over Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League final. It looks like we'll be winning it back. Valenta, Rafa Leão. Guerra finds Liberali, who has plenty of space. 1v1 against the keeper! 2-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. Kvaratskhelia has the ball, and he cuts inside all the way, but Sangare is there to save it. He's taking the ball for Paris Saint-Germain. I think May was offside, and Darwin Núñez was definitely offside. And Liberali potentially wins a penalty, and now we've got a chance to make it 3. Almada scores! Truffert advances forward down the left wing, and will be looking for a cross. He makes it to Jimenez, who scores the 4th goal! João Neves finds space, and it will be still a clean sheet. Arda Güler walks on for Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. It looks like with a couple final minutes, our challenge to win the Champions League in 10 seasons ends in 8 seasons, as we lift the UEFA Champions League with AC Milan. Wow, I mean, wow. I cannot believe what we've just done. We completed the Football Manager speedrun, and we've done it 2 seasons early. It is probably one of the fastest 0 to Champions League journeys I could possibly make. Within just 8 years, we went from knowing nothing about football to winning Europe's elite prize. Though I must admit, the final was a bit underwhelming, especially knowing how the round of 16 and quarterfinals went. Big thanks to Tom FM for being the first man to take on this challenge. His video inspired me to take on this 0 to Champions League challenge myself. Link to Tom's attempt is in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video, just like I enjoyed this adventure. If that's the case, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. This is probably the best send-off we could give to FM24, and I'll be extremely grateful if you help this video go up the YouTube algorithm. I also made a video about the history of the Champions League itself. It is available on your screen right now, and I hope you'll enjoy it as well.